these Wednesday Wisdom webinar series. My name is Lisa Ernst, and I'm the Executive Director of Savvy Ladies. Savvy Ladies is a not for profit organization that provides free financial education and resources to women. Before we get started, a reminder that we'll have a few minutes at the end of the presentation for your questions. Feel free to type your questions into the chat window. If you're listening to the presentation and have a question, you can send your question to info@savvyladies.org. We are so fortunate today to have our presenter, Monica Shah. Monica Shah, money and marketing expert, Kellogg MBA grad, and business professor, helps business owners double their income within 12 to 18 months. She is passionate about helping them to monetize their businesses to create their own dream lifestyle. Revenue Breakthrough is Monica's second company and now has an annual revenue of over $1 million. Monica is the author of Getting Rich, You're Doing It Backwards, and the Money Magnet Kit. She's also the creator of the Money Club, a program that combines business, marketing, and money strategies to teach business owners the essential foundations they need to create six-figure businesses and beyond. Monica, thank you so much for being with the Savvy Ladies community today, and I will hand the presentation over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. I'm so excited to be here and to be joining all of you ladies today. I am absolutely shameless about helping women make more money. It is one of the reasons I was put here on the planet, and I believe that there is no reason for us to ever be in a place where we can't take control of our financial freedom. And I know that's what Savvy Ladies is all about, so I'm so excited to be here and be connecting with so many of you Savvy Ladies in the process. So many of you may be new to me or not know a lot about my background. And I started my career back in the day at the Kellogg School of Management. I got my MBA in finance and entrepreneurship, and I then moved on and got a job as a brand manager at L'Oreal Paris. I was in charge of the skincare line. That was the only place that they would let me be because my nails were always messy and my hair was always kind of a disaster. But thankfully, I did have fairly good skin, so they allowed me to be on the skincare line at L'Oreal, and it was like getting a PhD in marketing. And at the end of that time at L'Oreal, I thought I was hot shit. I thought because I had the MBA behind my name and because I had my experience at Kellogg and at L'Oreal that I would just be the perfect entrepreneur. So I leapt out, started my first company, which was Ideal Balance, and it was a little bit like jumping into a pool of ice cubes when you were expecting warm water. Many of you might have experienced this if you have started your own companies, and many of you may have experienced this even if you are in the corporate world in terms of what it's like to take on so much more responsibility than you're ready for. Within about 12 months of leaping out, I was $25,000 in debt. And the debt itself didn't scare me. It was just the thought of not knowing exactly how I was going to pay it off, how to get to the end of the tunnel, how to actually see the light. And so I started doing everything I possibly could to generate money, like any smart entrepreneur would do. I walked dogs. I rented my apartment. I sold things on eBay. I did sleep studies. I'll tell you, there's a lot you can do in New York City to generate money, especially when you're desperate. And I got more and more desperate with every rising day and month because I couldn't figure out how to generate money from my business. And I had really overspent when I was in the corporate world, and the debt was just like a noose around my neck. And finally, there was a particular day when I had rented my apartment out for 8 days in a row, and I had slept on one person's couch for 3 days and another for another 3 days and a final person's couch for a final 2 days. And I grabbed all my stuff and I put everything in my bags, and then I got on the subway. And I got out of the subway and I had 2 bags on my left shoulder, 2 bags on my right shoulder, a bag across my chest, and a roller bag that I was carrying with about 8 days of clothes rolled up into that bag. And I started climbing up the staircase. And I got to the top of that staircase, and people were rushing by me, and the bags were falling off, and I was sweating, and it was hot. And I looked up, and I walked towards the elevator and the escalator, and they were both broken that day. They weren't working. And there were 3 more flights of stairs to get to street level. And at that point, I thought, I'm done. I'm done being an entrepreneur. I'm done struggling with money. I am not walking up those stairs. And as the tears started to flow, I sat down on the subway floor, which you've got to be desperate to sit on the floor of a subway. And I decided at that moment that I was not going to continue with my business or with anything in my life until I figured out how to make more money and how to stop living from month to month and day to day and doing whatever I possibly could to just hope that I could pay rent the next month and pay for the grocery bills. And I got really clear that if I didn't figure it out, I was going to have to find a job. And I'll tell you, I don't like being told what to do. I love the fact that as an entrepreneur, I can make my own decisions. So getting a job was not an option that I wanted to have. And I know many of you may have experienced the same thing, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're corporate. You look at this flight of stairs in front of you and you think, how am I going to walk up it? The baggage is too heavy and I'm tired and I'm worn out. And you get to a point where you're done with the struggle and you're done with the exhaustion. And for me, it led to me making a decision that I was going to give myself 12 months to figure this out, and that if I didn't figure it out, I was going back to get that job. And so over the next 12 months, I learned everything I possibly could about money and marketing and sales. And I hired coaches and experts. And I learned, and I learned, and I learned. And what I got really clear about is that I had been avoiding the most important topic that we need to look at, which is money. I hadn't been tracking my numbers. I hadn't been doing the activities that made sense to do in the right order at the right time. And in fact, much of what I was doing was checking things off my to-do list, but not actually moving my business towards revenue-generating activities. So I was avoiding my money. I was avoiding my numbers. I was afraid to look at what I was doing. And what I was doing was just doing stuff that made me feel like I was busy, stuff that might have been letter, whatever anybody told me to do, whatever they said the next thing I should be doing was, but I wasn't actually following a plan or doing the things that would generate money. And when I got really clear that money was the center of it, and I started to do things in the right order at the right time, all of a sudden things started working. I was able to pay off my debt within about 12 months at $25,000, and within about 15 months I had put $12,000 of savings in the bank. And I went on to double my revenue that year and have doubled my revenue every year since then. Today, I now run Revenue Breakthrough, which is a business coaching firm for women entrepreneurs. And I focus on helping other women focus on the right things at the right order at the right time to grow your money and to grow your bank accounts. And so what I'm excited to share with you today, right, that has led to us creating $1 million coaching company is how you can start to see more money in your bank account and how you can do it without the struggle and without the worry and the pressure, but also how you can start to look at money differently. Because for so many of us as entrepreneurs, the reason we don't see more money in our bank accounts is because we're not actually looking at money. We're not building a relationship with it. So if you don't actually build a relationship with money that is actually a healthy one, then what starts to happen is you fear the money conversation in every aspect of your life. Whether you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to have sales conversations or send out invoices, or whether you're working at a job and you would like to have a conversation about getting a raise or doing something differently in the work that you do. So we've got to build a different relationship. We've got to shift into a relationship with money that's a healthy one and that ultimately is a profitable one. So today we're going to go over the 3 steps to do that. Now, I don't have a whole lot of time with you, so I will share with you my contact information at the end and a program called Money School where we can go deeper into this. at the end of our session together. So step 1 is knowing how you relate to money. Step 2 is understanding your money voices. And step 3 is communicating and tracking and understanding that it's all about the numbers. So one of the keys to understanding money is that to know that money loves to be understood. It loves that you build a relationship with it. So the first place to start is understanding your money type. So there are 4 different money types. And yes, you can be more than one type. But my guess is, as you're looking at this and as I go through the 4 types, that you are a predominantly one type. And so what I'm going to do is go through all of the different types, and then I'm going to ask you to pick what type you are, and then I'll go back through and talk about how you can balance your type if you're feeling out of balance in one particular area. So the first type is an avoider. Now, many of us relate to avoiding when it comes to money, especially if you're somebody who grew up in a family that avoided money or didn't talk about money much. And what it means to be an avoider is that you avoid looking at your mail and your bills. They come in and they pile high on your desk. You often have no idea how much money is in your bank accounts at any particular time. So if I were to ask you right now how much money is in your bank account or how much debt do you have, you would say to me, Monica, I don't really know. In fact, one of my girlfriends who runs a $300,000 nutrition company, when one day we were sitting around and we realized that she has no idea how much money is in her bank account, and she had no idea how to check it online. So we had to show her how to check her bank accounts online. The problem with being an avoider is that you often overworry and you overwork. You overwork because you don't know how much work you need to be doing to generate the kind of money that you want to have. So if you've got a job, you know what your salary is, so it's not so much that. It's just that you don't really, you haven't really thought about how much money you want to create and what you could be doing differently or in addition to your current job so that you can get to where you want to go. If you're an entrepreneur, you're often doing a lot more work than you need to be doing because you have no idea how much money you're making and how many hours you need to work to make a certain amount of money. There's also a tendency to over-worry here, to worry about money all the time. And that's namely because you're not looking at it and you're not addressing it. So you're constantly thinking, oh, I don't have enough, or how much do I have, or what do I need to do? And it's because, again, what we don't see, what we aren't clearly looking at, we avoid. So there's a tendency here to avoid the issue. The next type here is that you could be, I'm going to skip down to spenders. Now, spenders are folks that have, you're a spender if you've got a large amount of credit card debt that you can't pay off, or you're a spender if you often buy things that you haven't really thought about yet. Often spenders are folks that will buy items to fill holes in their lives. So if you buy something to feel happy or you buy something to feel more loved, you buy something because it makes you feel better about who you are, what you want to create in the world. You often rationalize your spending with phrases like, I'm worth it, or it was for learning. And the problem with spenders, too, can be is that you spend on a lot of certifications and trainings, so you are the jack of all trades, but you often are the master of none. And the thing about being a spender, too, is that spenders are hedonists. Like, you love to have fun, you love to go out, you love to have great meals and great activities. But often as a spender, you don't quite get the satisfaction that you'd like out of it, and you often end up coming home and really worrying about whether you spent too much and how you're going to pay it all off. Savers. Now, savers are Joe Cool on the outside, right? You look at a saver and you think, gosh, this person has no issues. A saver has plenty of money in their bank account. They don't often have debt, and if they do, they know exactly how they're paying it off. And the problem with being a saver is that often savers will deny themselves pleasure. That's because they're holding on to their money so tightly that they're not letting it flow. And because they're not letting it flow, they often deny themselves of the kind of pleasure or free time that they could have in their business. Their business doesn't often grow because they're afraid to take risks in their business. This could also look like, as a saver, you might have a back pain and you can't afford the insurance that your doctor might give you, or you can't afford to pay a doctor because he's not on your insurance plan and you don't want to spend the money. So instead of spending the money that you already have, you instead stay in pain. And another example from a business perspective might be that you don't want to spend the money on an assistant. So instead of spending the money on the assistant, you work 12-hour days to make up for the fact that you are that you're somebody that doesn't want to spend the money. And finally, the last type here is a martyr. You know you're a martyr if you have trouble actually asking for the money that you are worth, or you often barter or take the price point down, or you just avoid sales conversations altogether, and you're hoping that if you just get good enough, that people will come to you and they'll want to buy from you. As a martyr, you might also be somebody who people come to and they're always asking for money from you, and you give it to them even when you don't have it. You have a real hard time saying no and drawing boundaries. Claiming that money isn't important, but helping people is. And the problem with being a martyr is that you're often bitter on the inside, but you don't have much to show for it because you've give, and you rarely receive. So I want you to take a moment and just pause and ask yourself, what type are you? Are you an avoider? Are you a saver? Are you a spender? Are you a martyr? And yes, you can be a combination, but ask yourself, what's my predominant type? And then you can have a primary type and a secondary type as well. And I want you to know that there's no positive or negatives with these types. It really just tells you a lot about how you relate to money. It's also a great thing to think about, how does your husband relate to money, or your partner relate to money? How do your kids relate to money? How do your parents relate to money? And often the money type is a source of many of the arguments that are occurring for you and your family. So if you are an avoider and your partner is a saver, you're going to fight. If you're a saver and your partner is a spender, you're going to wonder why he's spending so much money. And you have to understand that the sooner that you guys can get clear about what money types you are, the more you can have an on-the-table conversation about money. So, for example, if you are a saver and you're with a spender, you have to understand that he or she gets their value of who they are from spending. They think life is about spending. And you think life is about saving and how much money you can put into your bank account. So your definitions of security and fun are completely different. So coming to the table and really understanding that about one another is going to help you to find some middle ground. If you are a martyr and you're with a saver, right? Your saver partner is going to wonder why you never accumulate more money, why you never ask for money, because they want the numbers to go up in the bank account. And you, as a martyr, are just going to feel like you're doing something wrong and pressured. So this is also a great place to start to have the money conversation with the people that you love. And I also want to go back through and talk a little bit about what you can do with each type to make it easier for yourself. So if you're an avoider and you feel out of balance as an avoider and like you'd like to shift into more balance, one thing you can do is have a money date with yourself. And I know that Savvy Ladies probably talks a little bit about this as an organization. It's great to sit down with your money every single week for at least 15 minutes and look at everything. Look at your bank accounts, look at your credit cards, look at how much you owe, look at your goals, look at how you did this week with your money. Even if it's the same amount every week, even if you're on a salary, looking at your money issues, whether it be with the home or with the landscaping or with the children or with college, is going to help you stop avoiding it, and it's going to create the opportunity for you to see opportunities to create more money in your world. It's also a great thing to do with your partner or with family members if you find that money is a source of conflict at home. As a saver, a great thing to do as a saver is to actually create an account
where you are a saver. One great thing to do is to create a bank account that is a savings account that's associated with your checking account. So what's lovely about bank accounts these days is you can open as many savings accounts as you want that are connected to the checking account. And you can nickname those savings accounts and create different buckets for different kinds of money. And so a great thing to do as a saver is to create a fun account. And then every single month, put some money into that fun account. And then your goal is to spend that money every 30 days on yourself. That's the real key here, is that you want to spend it on yourself. And it can be $50 a month. It can be $100 per month. You know, I have one client who's a saver that has really caused him issues over the years. So what I said to him was, you have to take 10% of the revenue that you bring in from every client and put it into that fun account. And that drove him just about mad, but it also helped him to really open his eyes to the opportunities out there. If you are a spender, it's, you know, one of the things that occurs for a spender is that you often make really quick decisions about how you want to spend your money. So what I would encourage you to do as a spender is take a moment before you purchase whatever you're going to buy next and just pause and ask yourself, why am I buying this? And then see what comes up for you and just make sure it's the right reasons for you to be purchasing whatever it is that you're purchasing. And then as a martyr, one of the best things that you can do as a martyr is make boundaries and rules about what you are going to say around money. So if you're an entrepreneur, you may want to make a script for how you sell yourself in a sales conversation and read that script. If you're somebody that has a corporate job any job for that matter, and you find that you're a martyr in the when people ask you to do something, or when people ask you to spend your money, or when family members ask you to spend money, I want you to come up with a phrase, a script that you say to them that keeps you consistent and makes it easier for you to say no. So it might be something like, I really appreciate that you're asking, but right now for the next 90 days, I'm not actually going to be giving any money away. This will actually help you to start to create boundaries. Believe it or not, there's something lovely about a script that gives you freedom to not have to think in the moment and to make a different decision. So just take a moment and think about, what are you going to be doing differently with your money? So Lisa, I just want to pause here for one moment, and I wanted to ask you, we are going for a half an hour. Is it till 1:30 that you wanted to open up questions?
Yeah, it's really up to you, Monica. You can, if you want to go for a couple minutes, or we can open it up for questions. Um
Yep. So what I'm going to do is going to teach one more piece of this, and then we'll open it up for questions.
that would be great.
The next part of this is, you know, one of the pieces of this, I'm actually going to skip part 2 here for the take, and I'm going to move us through a couple pieces. Number one, I just want to let all of you know that if you really liked what you heard today and you want a copy of the money types, you want to go to revenuebreakthrough.com/money magnet. Revenuebreakthrough.com/money magnet. It has a PDF document that has the money types on it, as well as the money story. And it's something that you can print out. And if you want to talk it through with family or friends or your team, uh, it you can get your money magnet kit there, and it's super useful because I know that I went pretty fast through the money type, so you might find it useful to print out for yourself. And it's revenuebreakthrough.com/money magnet. Okay, so I want to skip to step 3 here, which is raising your prices or your salary, because I know many of you have asked me this question over and over again. So many people do, which is, how do I raise my prices or how do I ask for more money? Part of the asking for more money and raising your prices is understanding your own value, is understanding what it is that you bring to the person in front of you. So I'm going to split this into 2 parts. The first part, I'm going to talk about it as an entrepreneur, and you'll see that on this slide. The next part, I'm going to talk about it as a professional. So if you are an entrepreneur, you want to start by asking yourself, how does what I do affect my client's life on every level now and in the future? Because the key to raising your prices isn't just being able to ask for them. I mean, that's step 1. But step 2 is being able to receive them. And what makes people pay you more money? And I'll tell you, the number one thing that makes people pay you for more money, may pay you more money, is confidence. It's your certainty and confidence in what you do and the results that you can provide for the person that's sitting in front of you. The more confident and clear and certain that you are about that result, the more likely it is that somebody's going to be willing to give you their credit card and pay you exactly what you're asking. So, how do you get more certain? Part of it is doing your own work around understanding the value and the results that you provide to people. So, let's actually go through this exercise together and then you can see an example. So, let's say that I am a weight loss, like I'm a weight loss specialist, I'm a nutritionist. So, I want to ask myself the question, how does what I do affect my client's life on every level now and in the future? So, what I know is that from a relationships and family perspective, if I help my client to lose 15 pounds, my client now is single. So, it's going to allow them the confidence to go out and start talking to people and engaging them. And maybe she'll find a partner and then or boyfriend. And then when she finds a boyfriend, she may get married. And then in the future, she may decide that she wants to have children. So losing 15 pounds now has allowed her to find a partner, get married, and have kids. It's going to affect her health and well-being because she the first 15 pounds is just the beginning. She's going to lose 15 more, and she's going to be able to get off prescription medication. She's going to have more energy, more clarity, more focus, and she's going to live longer. And she's also going to be able to look in the mirror and feel really good about herself and have more well-being. How's it going to affect her career? Well, before she used to go to work and she used to not be very confident to speak up in meetings because she didn't really like who she was, because she didn't like her body. And now she's speaking up at meetings more. She's being recognized. And that is going to lead to a pay raise. And it's going to lead her to get up that ladder a little faster. And it's going to actually eventually have her be happier in her career. And then what will it do to her future potential? From a future potential perspective, it's going to allow her to have more, to be able to create what she actually wants. So, one of the first things that we talked about is that someday she wanted to have her own company and her own business. And now that she's lost the weight and she's moved on in her career, in the future, she could potentially open up her own business and actually live her dream. So by helping this client lose 15 pounds today, I'm actually helping her meet an awesome partner, get married, get off prescription medications, live longer, get promoted, have an awesome career, and eventually start her own company. So when I think that way, is my program worth $3,000? Absolutely. I mean, it's worth $10,000 when you think about the effects, the cascade effects that it's going to have. So I'd encourage all of you that have your own businesses to sit down and do this exercise, either with yourself or with a mentor or with a partner. And I'd really encourage you to write it out, pen to paper, write out the results that you are creating for your potential clients and read them before you go into a sales conversation. And that's going to actually help you to boost your confidence. And it's also going to add to your vocabulary so that when your clients ask you, well, what is this program going to do? You actually have a real story of what it could create for them in their lives. And sometimes when people do this exercise, they say to me, but Monica, doesn't it feel like we're exaggerating? Doesn't it feel like we're extrapolating? I mean, what if this stuff doesn't happen? At the end of the day, the exercise is to help you exaggerate and extrapolate and help you to understand that what you're doing is so much more far reaching than you realize it is right now. And then how to do this if you want to raise your salary, right? What if you want to have a conversation with your boss about getting paid more or managing more? Then you want to ask yourself, how does what I do affect my company's success on every level now and in the future? So again, this is a place where you want to sit down and write, how does what I do affect my clients? How, is it causing, is my day-to-day action causing my company to get more clients and to build more revenue? Are my day-to-day actions and activities helping my company grow? Are my activities now and in the future, how could it help the company grow their financial numbers? How could it help the people who I work with? So how could what I do now and in the future help to train and develop the people that I work with? How could it help the people that I report to? And how could it help the future potential of the company? So what you want to think about, what you're doing here is you're building a case for yourself on, I would like to have a salary increase, and here's why. Here's what I could do as a result of that increase from a client perspective, from a day-to-day activity perspective, from a finance perspective, for the people that I work with, for the people that I report to, and for the future potential of the company. You're building a case for how to ask for more money. And when you do that, you have a great reason to really talk your boss into having you receive that money. And remember that communication is an important piece of this. It's communicating it to clients and communicating your results to managers. That's not only going to help you receive that money, but it's also going to help you get really clear about why you should receive that money in the first place. One of my clients, Nisha Moodley, had her first $50,000 month ever, and she did this by using the principles that we just talked about. She got really clear on the value of what she was offering and changed her sales conversation entirely, and was able to have a $50,000 month. Here's some, so what I'm going to do here is I just want to offer to all of you, we went really quickly through some topics on how to raise your prices as well as how to relate to your money differently. We have a program that's a 9-week program. That's a live program. It's done virtually, but I teach it live. That is just starting. It's called Money School. This program is primarily for entrepreneurs. So if you are interested in learning more about how you can make more money in your business as an entrepreneur, please check it out. It's at revenuebreakthrough.com/money school. We go in deeply into your money story, your relationship with money. We go into how you can generate more money through marketing, and we go into how you can ask for money more wisely in your sales conversations. And then for those of you that have other questions for me, I'm going to pause here and answer as many questions as I possibly can. And I also want you to know that this is my website and my contact information, revenuebreakthrough.com, Monica at revenuebreakthrough.com, and our number. So if you would like to set up a conversation with me, if you'd like to talk more about money and how it's working for you, please reach out to us. I'm happy to help. All right, questions.
Great. Great, Monica. Thank you so much. We do have one question. Um, I have no idea how to start a small business. I'm considering starting one while working full time. I'm interested in baking, but I don't know how to get it off the ground. Do you have any advice?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, congratulations for you for thinking about it. And second, I would encourage you to keep your job while you're getting started, while you're getting the wheels rolling. So the first thing I would do is decide a couple things. Number one, baking is interesting because there are rules and ramifications around food products. So if you're going to sell your food, you may want to look into, does it need to be, you may want to do some research into, does it need to be cooked in a commercial kitchen, and what are the ramifications around that. Then you need to ask yourself, you need to decide, how do I want to, what do I want to do? Do you want to bake baked goods and sell them in markets? Do you want to be a caterer and specialize in doing baked goods for people's parties or for people individually? Or perhaps you want to be do baked goods that you sell to restaurants and to organizations and bakeries and coffee shops, and they sell your baked goods. So I think first you have to decide who's your who's your target market. Is your target market going to be restaurants that sell your baked goods, coffee shops that sell your baked goods, or is your target market going to be people who want to throw parties and sell your baked goods? Or is it that you want to do retail? You want to open your own shop and sell your baked goods through your shop. Or perhaps you start at markets and sell your baked goods through there. So first you want to make a decision about what does your business look like? What model are you going to follow? And then from there, I would encourage you to get your feet wet, meaning if you decide that you want to bake at markets, start researching what markets you want to go to. If you decide that you want to sell through restaurants, start to reach out to restaurants and ask them what qualifications do they need in order to start buying baked goods from you.
Great.
So it's a decision and then some research.
Okay, the second question is from Jeannie. Do you believe that you must have a full business plan in order to start your business?
No, absolutely not. So, Jeannie, I'd encourage you. What I believe in is the concept of a lean startup. And that's what my guess is that most of you would be. And a lean startup is that you decide that you're going to go into business and you don't actually have a big amount of money to start your business. You don't have some big bank loan. You don't have someone supporting you. You're not part of a conglomerate. So essentially you're deciding to either sell a product or sell a service and put it out to a market. And if you are doing that, then you actually can't, um, you don't have to have a big business plan to get moving. What you do need to have is, I would suggest that you actually have a product or a service that you're selling, and that you actually start selling it to people. So you start having sales conversations. And then what you're going to learn through your sales conversations is whether it's working and what needs to change, and you're going to adapt and modify the product. Then, when you get to a point where you realize you have a product or a service that is selling well, that people are buying it, then at that point, you can start to craft a more complete business plan that's going to help you sell more products and sell more services. I would recommend, however, that you not try to build a business in isolation. I mean, one of the first things that I did when I started my first company is hire a business coach, and have somebody who knew more than I did show me the steps. And I would recommend that you work with someone or join a program that's going to show you the steps on how you can get to where you need to get to.
Great. Thanks, Monica. We have one more question because we're running out of time. Um, but this came in from Cynthia, and she's asking if there's a particular money type that should never start their own business, like that they're sort of like destined to fail.
No, not at all. All of the money types are great. There is no positive or negatives in the money types. Every single, I work with all four of those money types as a business coach. I see entrepreneurs with all four. The key is really understanding how to work within your money type. So if you're an avoider, you're going to need to learn how to look at your numbers and how to deal with the fear that comes up around them. If you're a saver, you're going to need to learn how to invest in yourself, especially if you're a business owner. If you are a spender, you're going to need to learn how to get a return on your investment and how to make a decision about what the important things are to spend money on. And if you are a martyr, you're going to need to learn how to ask for money. And just so you know, I teach, the money types is something I teach in money school. And no matter what money type you are, we teach you how to build a business and make more money.
Great. Thanks, Monica. I really appreciate the information you've provided today is priceless for our community. So I want to thank you again, and thank all our attendees for coming and joining us today. Please please be sure to visit the Savvy Ladies website to look for future webinars. We have them each Wednesday. So, Monica, thank you again, and everyone enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who is listening. And thank you so much, Lisa, for having me. I so appreciate it.
Great, great.